from. He's a big character. He's a big character. I want to thank Kala Loshen and Kavash Pratis and Torah Anytime tremendously for all the chesed they're doing. Thank you so much. Now I want to tell you, once we were out of our mitzvah, it was a mitzvah type of, situation. We came in from New York. A big Lakewood crowd was there. From a difficult situation the boy came from. We all came down for the bar mitzvah. In walks somebody who's at Chabad, but he's not the average. He's from the real, he's unusual. Anyway, he walks in. Yeah, I'll show you. You got me. You want to see what it looked like? Here goes. He comes in like this. Comes in, he's a respectable person. He's a Rav. He's from the big, he's not a kid. And he's from the big knockers, and, he does a lot. He comes in like this. He walks in, and I'm sitting at the dais together with my friend. And my friend looks at me. I look at him. Maybe we'll tell him that, excuse me, your hat, So we told him. He was just passing by us. He looks at it, he says, it's okay. And he stayed with it. He stayed with it. And he got up. He was the keynote speaker yet. He was the best speaker in the place. He gave a whole drosha. Now, he reminded me of Novandik, big time. I've seen Novandikas do that. They would do like this. Oh, that's good you told me. They put it on purposely to see the guy. Oh, thank you so much. I once did a sticker like that. And kids came up, excuse me, Rabbi Mendel, your hat. Oh, thank you. That's so nice of you. So, you don't chop what I'm trying to do here. You never read up on. I did something a little bit that not as.
No, but when they told you something, did you straighten up, or you like?
Oh yeah, I didn't. I just told him, oh, thanks a lot. I just wanted to make him feel good. Then I went on my way and did my merry. Sometimes I would straighten it out. Depends if I didn't really want to leave it like that. But I just wanted to have a few minutes of freedom from public opinion. That's an open statement. I don't care what people think. Now, the godless of Novandik is they stayed normal after that. I don't recommend, don't you do that. I told you to myself, a bach calls me up, Rabbi Mendel, I'd like to do a prat. How about, can I put my hat on backwards? I said, don't you dare. They'll think you're a meshugana. Just act normal. Goodbye. I mean, he's not ready for it. It's not fair for people to do things. It depends who and what and where. If basically you're in the normal mode and you feel like, and you're not, so at odd moments you can chop yourself a prat. But the ideal prat is just davening for the Amida, speaking in public, which is a normal thing to do. Or going over to somebody who you're petrified of and say, good morning, say good Shabbos, good morning, and tell them over your pshat. That's the kind of prat that I run after. I look for that. By the way, the more pratim, the better. Very healthy. Very healthy. Don't become an eved to everyone around you. For the rest of your life, you're going to be worshiping people. It's not geschmack. Anyway, I wanted to say, Be'ezrat Hashem, a lot of people, they hear our shmooze. I was once speaking, the Torah and Messiah. The Rabbim get together and get away once a year. A couple of hundred Rabbim from the lower level. I'm always speaking over there. And I once got up and smack in the middle of my speech, I stopped myself. I said, I apologize. I will not continue with this speech. It's not for you. I know you're going to love it. You're going to say it's beautiful and it's great, but it's not lamaisa. It's just a nice speech that I could show off how smart I am. You'll see how great so-and-so was. But you're not going to be that way, and I'm not going to be that way, and nobody is expected to be like that. So why should you want to hear theory? Go learn a Taisvis. You do something, what do you need to hear? A nice vettel of the greatness of this. Now, it's not that bad, really. For people who aren't that serious, it won't kill them to think big, and maybe in the future, you never know. It's not the end of the world, but there are people who get very, very discouraged by Himmelrate. It's too much. It's not for me. Now, I want to tell you, there was a Gadol Yisrael, I will not say his name. Our Gadol, the whole world knows who I'm talking about. He was a giant, and the whole Klal Yisrael has a wealth from him. His greatness is coming out all over. He was not known to be a Baal Achnasis Archim. He wasn't known for it. Now, he was a tzaddik. What he did with his life, forget it. He once even mentioned that. I'm not, Now, it doesn't mean you shouldn't do that. But there are people that are not. They're different. He's here for a reason. He wrote books. He gave speeches. He wasn't. You can't. If you could do everything, it's great. But many people sit there eating themselves up. Why? They're not the warm, loving, the good relative that goes to all the chasanas and that everybody's raving over. Oh, you see, he goes all out. Now, there's a big mitzvah to do that. And I would tell you there are people that might even be a big tachlis in their lives. They came here for that reason. To be a mensch with your relative. Makarvas, Krevov is a very good thing. The Briskers are very big into that. The Hungarians, forget it. You mean you don't go to your third cousin's chasana? Are you serious? Your third cousin? You don't feel like the fifth cousin. You don't feel the fifth cousin is close enough? Oh, you don't feel close. Okay, we understand. You're one of those cold fish. I'm not saying the fifth cousin, but I would say the second cousin, yes. Why don't you, what's with you, and they look down at you if you miss, all those simchas going on. By the way, why are there so many simchas going on? Now, I'd rather thrive off simchas. I'm a simcha, to me, I would go to every one of them and I'd have a ball. I'm a fish in water. To me, I like to chill out and dance and make lebedik and stand on it, make myself sugar a little bit. I go for that. But I have a side of me that's not into it. And sometimes it's a mitzvah not to be into it. You're going to be mavakal, you're learning. You're going to turn into an amoritz. It's not so simple running around to all these chasanas. And sometimes you don't have the kayach for everything. You can't do everything. And why people have to go to chasanas? Covet. He's not going to like me. I missed that chasana. Wait till I can't face him. I once asked the mashkiach from Nossen about going to different things. He told me, I once had to visit my brother for something. I had a shaila. Someone else had to visit. He said, your brother's a ben Torah. He understands that bittul Torah is a cheshbon. This other fellow won't understand. The other guy you have to go to. Your brother. So when they don't come to you, it's a big, shows that you're a good person, by the way. That's it. I'll tell you, my greatest honor I ever had in my life was a friend of mine made a Sheva Brachas. We were newlyweds. We lived together, garden apartments in 433 3rd Street is where we lived. And we were a couple of younger light over there. And they made a simcha, a neighbor of mine, tidy younger man. He went ahead and he gave everybody a bracha. Sheva Brachas was a small oilam. He gave a bracha here, bracha there, but then he calls me over to the side. He says, you know why I didn't give you? You're the only guy around here that I know you really don't care if you're going to get one or not. So that's why I didn't give you. I felt like $1 million. This fellow really respects me. He sees what a great person I am, that I don't need covered like everyone else. I felt like $1 million. I was once, one of my brother-in-law was making a simcha. And he was so worried, what if he shows up and they say, and then suddenly another brother-in-law flew in from Yobit, pops up, oh no, and then I got to make him happy. He came over to me and I told him, this vod, when you don't give me, I feel more honored. I'm not one of those that never, I told you I'm a great speaker. Everybody knows I'm a great speaker, even I hold. Okay, so what happened? I'm speaking once, and there's a certain place that gives me tremendous covet. There they sit there, there's hundreds of people, their mouths are wide open. It's a chashva oilam. I love speaking there more than any other place. I go there regularly until one day I overheard the two gabbayim schmoozing with each other. And one gabbay tells the other one, let Mendel speak. He never needs it. You know, he needs a boost. Let him speak. You know why they're giving you covet? The best thing is to make a declaration. I have covet in the garbage. You have to make a lot of those declarations. Don't give me your covet. I'm fine. It's a very healthy thing. Now, you talk a lot against it. I want you to know, every time you make fun of covet, it affects you. Do it as much as you can. It affects you. I once asked a big Adam Gadol Rebbitzin about her husband's, because her husband hates covet. He's a tzaddik. He didn't learn Nובהרדוק. In fact, he's not even such a Musa type. He's a goyin and a tzaddik in his own way. He's gavaldik. And his Rebbitzin told me he's always speaking out against covet through the years. You know, after a while, he's a big pikeach also. Smart people realize how foolish it is. The fools are the ones that are busy with the covet all day. A nar has to, am I making a good impression? Not impression. They're busy with it. Rabban Kreiser, they once honored him to speak in the alumni. They all stood up. He went berserk. He couldn't handle it. Rabban Kreiser, until his later years, never even wore a beard. He was a goyin awesome. And a tzaddik, he was a Rees, Rabban Kreiser, Zatzal. And your brother-in-law, Shmuel Bruni. And they say he was bigger than all of them. He was a Rees and learning. He was a tzaddik and a goyin. But covet, they all stood up for him. He went like this in front of everybody. Sit down. He couldn't be it. What are you getting up at me for? He didn't like it because he understood it's a tipshus really, but what can you do? We're human. Sometimes I will spend my time running into covet because it's going to make me function a little better. So then it's a different story. Now, but everybody has to understand he's limited. You can't do what everyone else does. You do your thing, I do mine. He's the big Machna Seirus. They're all talking about the world famous Machna Seirus. He got 100 people at his Shabbos dish and you go, wow, look at me. If you would do that, your wife would never, you'd be in hot soup. Don't get near it. Enjoy the other guy. I'm so happy he does it. Talk about it, but deep down, I do my thing. I learn more. So, you do chesed, I'm into learning. I'm one of these big masmidim. I'm a bookworm. Simon said, Torah, you know what Torah does for the world? People who learn Torah, the more people learning Torah, the less problems there are in the world. You know that. So it's kedai to have that in mind. Also, it's a different Torah when you think about other people and what you care about everybody. Anyway, people are different. People are different. You can't be another. Look at those Hasidim. Oh, they got it all. I've had these experiences. I once walked into one of these knockadicka places, and I was watched the way until the gabbai came over to me and he said, that guy over there, he's never, they were just diagnosed him. The other guy over there, well, he's having a lot of trouble because one of his kids is turning over this other guy, and he started pointing out who's who. And I said, oh, I didn't know that. And you look at all these people, each one looks so intimidating. You have these serious faces, and they're all scaring you. And the violet, each person's a normal. Yeah. Now I want to tell you, I repeat a lot of this stuff. I met somebody in the street this Shabbos. Doesn't live too far away from me. Very tired of young man and tzaddik, a sweetie. And he tells me, Rabbi Mendel, do you know that I listen to your stuff? He listened for hours. He chazes my stuff. I listen to the Yiddish one and the English one and the this one and the that one. And I chazer it. And boy, what it did to me. Now, he told me something. He said, it took a while. It's finally starting to kick in. Now, the things you hear from me are very great. It's very good, but you got to keep hearing it. Hak, and kaparai. You got to hear it again and again and again and again. With time, it gets easier. We once made a workshop. I wouldn't mind doing this again with the Adam got together, where individuals, if someone would want to run it, there's a lot of things I could use a little help. If you're interested, you can give me a call. We had a whole oilam over here. It's not so easy to get something moving, especially in Lakewood where people live in. Everybody lives a different Lakewood. You get them together once a week to work on something. The other wanted to work on self-esteem. They had a lot of customers. Oh, self-esteem, here I am. Self-esteem. Oh, self-esteem, yeah, self-esteem. I remember in a certain Meisid, the biggest loudmouth in that Meisid, who used to run the show, he was Rosh Hashanah, once told me, he says, I'm very shy by nature. Oh, I didn't know that. I still didn't figure out where does it tell the chayes. I mean, where's the Olam Maisa? I don't notice it. So everybody's living in Dimion. Everyone's afraid of each other. But you got to hear this again and again and again and again and again. And it's a lifetime job. I heard this from big Rabbi told me this. It's a lifelong. It's the main things you're working. You're working. You succeeded. You didn't forget it. You're part of the club. You come to the NFL. There's, everybody goes in a different place. If you're Isaac in certain areas, there's a whole Gan Eden waiting for you. And you didn't have to succeed. Everyone succeeds. You're part of that group. You're doing fine. In the next world, you'll already succeed. You'll be able to, Zesha to all those beautiful midas you're looking for. So, I remember Rabbi Avram Leib Shur. This I'll already tell you who it is. Avram Leib Shur was a Rav in Chicago. He used to come to Lakewood, Elul, and he learned in Slobodka. And when he got up to speak, you thought you were in Slobodka. He was he good? He was geschmack. I loved him. He was Gavaldi. And his Anikel told me that he was a big chassid of Reb Chatzkel Levenstein. He loved Reb Chatzkel. And once he got a tape of Reb Chatzkel, and he put it on for Zayda to hear. As soon as the Zayda heard Reb Chatzkel, what he was saying, he says, shut it off, I can't hear this. What's the matter? It's from a raid. It's from a raid. I can't hear it. Now, I don't know exactly what it was exactly, but you have to understand that there are certain things that are not for you. They will do more harm than good. And I was told by the last Talmud of the Alta from Slobodka and the Alta from Novanek, Rabbi Orlansky Zatzal told me, write your own Musa Sefer. Write your own and go over it. What's good for you? There's a Svara, there's 100 Svaras saying you're a great guy. Get those Svaras down. I'm better than everyone. And sit there for the rest of your life. That's your Musa. I'm learning Musa. And you'll go further. That's real Musa. When you go over, you're working on your midas. What real Musa, divide your Musa, say that, make it Yishmak, by the way. That's the one that you could, part of the time, he told me this also, if I'm not mistaken. Part of the time you could write all the good things that happened to you that day. The latest good stuff. I made a joke and everybody laughed. Beautiful. Write it down. I had some pickles. Ooh, they tasted good. Put it down. Or might be better to write this. I didn't scream at my wife only 5 times. Write that down. That's a real chashiva one. Only 5 times he screamed at his wife. What a tzaddik. We're hoping he's going to keep shtagik. But whatever you did, write it down and thank Hashem verbally. And I would say the more important, and expound on it. The experts say, don't just say, I did so-and-so a favor. Say, because I have a very good heart. And I happen to be an extremely nice person. And because I'm sensitive to other people's feelings more than others. And because, and the Eibishter always gives me the perfect hashkachas that I'm able to help people, and one of the build on it, blow yourself up, make a pirish on your greatness. I'm learning, basmada. Well, I am one of the few Yogolite that is still learning Gishmak more than other people, or the other way. I'm learning b'mesir nefesh, even though I don't have so much Gishmak. I'm still learning. I'm one of the few people who's meiser nefesh v'teira. And the other guy says, I'm one of the few people who still has a Gishmak in learning. So each guy has a shtick Torah showing how great he is, and showing how that's what the Eibishter wants. He wants everybody, Shem Shapar, ain't they saying parts of Pam Shavin, ain't they saying Shavin? They're different type of people. And there's people they don't appreciate themselves, nothing. You got to appreciate yourself. You can't imagine. The Eibishter wants you to hold from him, to thank him that he made you so great. You're going to keep telling yourself you're nobody. So you know what kills you? Guess what happened to me yesterday? Don't tell anybody. People find out about this, I'm out of business. Kitza, my shviga came. Whenever my wife loves, my shviga. I'm like sort of, it's a shviga, you realize. First of all, Rabbi Sai, my shviga is not in this world. Aleph, Beis, it was impossible not to get along with her. She was there's nothing like it. But I've got to tell my story. When I say it happened to me, it becomes more alive. But it didn't happen to me, Lamaisa. But let's say, here's the story. The story, the Baba Maisa, that on the Shviga Maisa that I'm in the process of making up. My Shviga came to visit. And I said, oh no. And my wife's looking at me, give me a look. Don't you do that. This time I think my mother chopped what you want. No, I'm going to do it. Oh, hello. And I put on my best smile. It's such a pleasure to meet my shviga. And she's such a nice lady. Yes. And ever since I was born, I used to say, those types, it's not my cup of tea. And the shviga that I have is exactly what all my Rabbeim taught me. That's not the way. And I'm stuck with her. And my wife loves a mother. And then have to deal with this for the rest of my life. So I'm sitting there. And I'm smiling. Because I got to make a good impression. My shviga wants to feel that her bubbler, my wife, got a nice marriage, a good guy who treats her well. So I got to put on my best behavior to show, and suddenly I become a nice husband. Oh, can I get you something? To my wife. Can I get you this and that? And my wife smiles to me. Make sure my mother sees all that stuff. She's checking you out to see, and I'm going through Mamish Gavaldi. And throughout, whatever it was, the Purim Suda, whatever it was, boy, it's got to be a Purim when I finish with this one. Anyway, so and I was so nice, and I started acting nice to my kids for a change. Because my shviga, usually I smack them up, but my shviga doesn't like that. She's so, in front of my shviga, I show, oh yes. And my shviga has complained a few times that I need to be more sympathetic to my children, so now I'm putting on a show. My wife's smiling ear to ear. She finally shows her mother, see? I got a good husband. He's what they call a real good. He's good stuff. Kids, before the Purim suit is over, somebody spills something on my brand new suit, and I happen to be one of those real fancy dancy guys. And my suit, you ever see me when I'm learning in Beis Medrash? People don't notice what I'm more interested in. I enjoy learning, of course, but every few minutes, I'm going like this. And as my chabrusa is telling me a svara, I want to make sure the Talmid Chacham should into Revav Big Day Chai Misa. So that's my chazal, I'm into that, it's my sugya. So I'm busy. This is me. And I'm always tell you when I see a younger man, that's the way a Ben Torah looks. No, this shirt, starched. This is the way, and I'm a fancy dude, like part of the real. That's me, by the way, there are people who are like that. It's not always a chasar. I don't want to get involved in it. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. I know a very, very, very big Hasidic Oved Hashem, a tzaddik, a real tzaddik, who was known, he was a big rub also, who was known to be such a type of He used to shine his shoes 24/7, you had to be. It's not always the end of the world. People have a nature. You can't knock nobody. Sometimes that's it. But anyway, but sure enough, one of my kids spills the steaming hot, whatever it is, right over my pants. And I exploded right in front of my shviga. And I'm screaming, what did you do? My wife is turning colors. Oh no. And after that Purim Suda, I'm a changed person. There my shviga saw my real colors, what I do behind the doors. When my shviga's not looking, she saw it. And she's going to report it to my shviga. I know she's got a big mouth. My shviga likes to talk. And before we turn around, we're going to be hearing about this. And wait until it comes to shidduchim. Like, who wants to get involved with a shviga like me, who blows us, whatever it is, my head's circling all over. What do you do? I'm not saying that this is actually what happened to me. I'm making up a Baba Maisa. But I'm saying things like this happen, embarrassing moments, where you showed a side of you that you shouldn't have. I said something that didn't sound so nice to a certain group, and one of those group members was sitting right there. Oh no. And something happened. What do you do? Yitzhahar is on your case. Is he on your case? He's going to destroy you. Kill your self-image. Avraham Avinu made a big mistake in his life. There was the Suda that Yitzchak Avinu, Yom Yigomel, Yitzchak, the day that he finished with his mother, and they made a big party, and the Ani came, and Avraham Avinu didn't. Something happened there that wasn't right with Avraham Avinu. He made a big, big mistake, and because of that mistake, he got a Maisa Akeda, was a punishment. Now you're going to have trouble. And he has the Einish is, now you're going to have to pay for what you did. You're going to have an Asoyin. Kachlas, Benchas, uh-oh. Now, Reb David Blacha speaks about this. And he says, you know what Avraham Avinu's Nisayin was? You caused the whole Akeda problem. You should feel so guilty. You good for nothing. See, you did that because it had this figure. She stopped this and stopped. Now this is happening, and that's now your wife and your figure and your baba and your tanta and the chleisvas. They're getting, well, now your charusa found out. Whatever it is, it's all. Avraham Avinu didn't lose himself, even though it came from you caused something. An Elohim doesn't get involved in the past. He goes further. Who cares about the past? Because of this, I live for today. I said, I'm married to Kavod. He printed it in his B'tachon Weekly. The regular B'tachon Weekly doesn't have it, but Yaakov sure has it. Avraham Avinu was Zaken Usva Yamin. Why? He was Nifta, a happy person. A good life he lived. His last days, Yishmael did tshuva. So he stayed in Rashi. So that's called Sva Yamin. Abaisai. Yishmael, what Yishmael didn't do, you know what he did? Through the Deiris, you ever hear the Cheber and the Shchita? He came and shechted 50 yeshiva bachurim. And there's pictures of bachurim with bandages all over them. The Arabs took knives and they attacked, and they took hatchets on people. Shem Yirach, the Arabs did Cheber and Shchita. That's one story with Arabs. You think that's the only one? When an Arab knows how to, you ever hear Bin Laden? The crash No, that's it. That's their fun. You know how many people are sitting in hospitals because if Arabs get into good moods someday? An Arab got into a good mood. You know, when they're in a good mood, two Arabs get together. They say, hey, things are getting boring. Let's start a war. Let's blow up a few buses. This is these guys. You have to. So let's blow each other up a missile. You know, let's get a. I heard about what Bedouins could do. This is what I heard years ago. The tribal leaders get together one day and decide it's time for a war. Start hating each other and they kill each. They go to war. They kill each other. And after that, they got a nice few almanas crying their heads off, and a lot of amputees, Baruch Hashem, and people in the hospital that for the rest of their lives, Hashem Yerachem, and Yisayimim all over. And then they say, okay, I think we had enough. Yes. Then they make a big party. They kiss each other. The two leaders started the war, and then Vatishoket Ha'oretz, another year or two, until the next time they get restless. You know that an Arab once went over to Arachaim HaKodesh and he said he has a lust for blood. You know that? It's brought there, Arachaim. It's a famous Arachaim HaKodesh. Came over to him. I said that's the way they live. So how did I get into this? Yishmael, yeah.
I thought Esau's that problem.
Yeah, so Yishmael, yeah, he holds his own. Yishmael was no tzaddik through the Deiros. Don't think they had it worse. With the Ashkenazi Jewry went through worse tzaras. They had the Crusades, the Spanish Inquisition, with Chmielnitsky and Machshemai. By the way, the Spanish Inquisition was Sephardim. That's Sephardim, yeah. That was in Spain. Oh, but it wasn't poked Arabs. But the Arabs did plenty of They did their things. Anyway, so now, look what they're doing today. Everybody hates them. Yeah, it says often that everyone's going to hate them. You know that in certain countries, I think in China, they do not accept. If an Arab tries to get on a plane, you come from that, we don't allow. They don't check them. Maybe you're from the good guys. And the Chinese believe in chazaka. You have a chazaka. Chinese hold from chazaka. If you're an Arab, don't get on our planes. Because you understand the Chinese are big tzaddikim. They don't want to. They're big tzaddikim. They don't want to. Their planes shouldn't have such people. It's so good. Anyway, but Yishmael wasn't the tzaddik hadar, you understand. For that moment, he did tshuva. Right? You know what they did to us when we came out of by the Churban Beis HaMikdash? They blew us up. They gave us a famous chazal, but they tortured us to death. Well, as we were after the Churban Beis HaMikdash, we were walking barefoot into Golas chained by our necks, with the Babylonians were whipping us, and we asked these, Yishmael, you're our brothers, maybe you'll give us, we're mom is starving, give us, sure, we'll give you. And to drink something that's dying of thirst. So first they gave us salty fish, right? And here's some schmaltz. Yeah, good. And everybody, as soon as they had the salt, they had go with sugar for a drink. So then they had some special type of flasks made out of leather that he thought he was drinking. What he took it, he go like this, and it was air, and it blew up. Don't ask me what happened exactly, but it killed the guy. Chazal talk about this, about Yishmael. That's Yishmael. So Yishmael, the big tzaddik. So what do you mean Zaken Isva Yomim? Avraham Avinu was nifta. Yishmael did tshuva. At that point, he did tshuva. 5 days later, he's getting into action. You know what he did to Yitzchak? He shot arrows at him, and Yishmael was a para Adam. I think my real discount says, why is he called para Adam instead of Adam para? And Diktuk is wrong, because he was more para than Adam. He was more wilde mensch than a human. It's not a pasha thing in Arabs, that how much they've accomplished for history. Lahavdul. I wonder the Christians are. What do you want to say? I mean, the tzaddikim, they weren't, but they invented things. They did something for the world. But Yishmael, what did they invent? How to blow up this and blow up that. It's not pashut. So you're going to say that Avraham Avinu went Zakei Nisva Yomim. He was nifta, Baruch Hashem, because he smelled the tshuva. That's temporary. That didn't last. Who cares? Right now, things are good. Svayamim. A yid doesn't get involved. But what's going to be tomorrow? Oh, right now, things are good. You go home, enjoying yourself. Tonight, it's a good day. The Welt says, live in day-tight compartments. Don't think of tomorrow. That kills everybody. Don't think of yesterday. Let the past bury itself. I don't care what I did yesterday. I'm leaving for today. It's so important. My Rebbe Reuben Huxley told me, every day you start brand new. No. Don't think of the past. Don't think of tomorrow. Get it out of your head. It's work. It's not easy. That has a lot to do with b'tachon. B'tachon is living for the day. Very important. Zakeh d'svayamim. Your shmol is good today? Tomorrow, don't complicate me. Everything's good today. No, I'm good. I enjoyed that chicken from my Rebbe and made a good meal. Finished. Don't get me thinking all over the place. Kim asas adam yosher. Vein bikshur cheshbeinas rabim. You just think of today, but what's going to be and what's going to be and what's going to be. It kills you. The Welt says today is the tomorrow that you worried about yesterday. You're always busy worrying and worrying. You know what? If you never worry, you know what you're going to do? That's called b'tachon, by the way. Not having worry. In Novandik, when they had to do a pa'ula of b'tachon, how do you do a pa'ula of b'tachon? Stop worrying for a minute. That's a pa'ula in b'tachon. It's a pa'ula. It's a mitzvah. By the way, all those people who by nature are worriers, they could be zeichet to non-stop chusim. They just switch that thought for the moment. No, I'm not going to worry. So you got to marry the mitzvah being by not worrying. I'm not worrying for this. Right now, I'm not worried. Tomorrow, right now, you live like that. You'll be the happiest person in the world. Just live for the moment. I couldn't care less. I'm eating my wife's cholent right now, or I'm eating this pickle, or I have a black gemara. Finished. Right now. Now, don't tell me, but till later tomorrow, but you got to take care of this. Live for the moment. I watched big, mainly Novandik, but I've seen it everywhere. I've seen it by Chassidim. I've seen it by Kelmas. All of them. Matisyo's Omar for Shalima is very much like that. Lives for the moment. Just for the moment. I heard Reb Chaim Halper was very like that, slow motion. And he said, don't worry, it's a lot of work. And I say, Americans, I don't even know if in this Gilgal is the Abishah expecting us Americans to do that stuff. I'm not sure. Maybe, you never know. If you're daven, you can do anything. Now, the Novandik, they held from Lot, sucking. Your lohot, I gotta get burning issue. I'm gonna get rid of my kinna once and for all. Now they knew what they were doing, and they did get rid of a kinna type of covet. If they had an issue, I once saw in the rest of a sefer or in one of these huge firms, there's sometimes they just want you to look away from all your. There's millions of things to work on. Pick that thing. Focus all your efforts in that. Forget everything else. And just that. By the way, if you get one thing, Chlor B'Shlemus, you automatically get millions of other things. Put all your something, you have to know, sometimes this could come in handy. But Novandik, they were lohot. They're burning. If you hear every night, if you're in a chabura, which someday we hope it's going to come true, where every night they sit down, let's discuss how did the day go? What's going on with my kas? And they're always talking about it. How's your kas doing? It's getting better. If you have friends, if that's all they talk about, what you could become, forget it. You know what your friends are talking about? What's new with Corona? Oh, how many people got COVID? He got COVID. He got COVID. Oh, and what's going on? Now, Reb Gershon was very curious. They say Reb Meir, what's his name? The Mashgiach of Chevron Yeshiva. Reb Meir Chadash is also a very curious type of person. That's what I heard. He liked to hear the news. There's nothing wrong. But he would always learn it up, and you had what to do. He cared for the world. He had a good feel. But big people have feel and achrais for the cloud. They want to know what's doing, how are people doing in Eretz Yisrael. I once met the Ger Rebbe. All he talked about, I'm talking about the Beis Yisrael Zatzal. All he talked about was Herzach. I came far Rockaway. How is the things? The Yiddish I mentioned there. How's the Yiddish guy? He cared. Chavetz Chaim. Somebody met the Chavetz Chaim. He spent an hour and a half not speaking and learning. He was talking about the not speaking and learning. He was talking about what's going on in the world. You know, he wanted to know about Klal Yisrael, how they live. But if every night you have a chabura of chevra that all they're talking about how is you once had a problem with, you had trouble learning Musa b'Spilus. Has that improved? Whatever it is, your life is your Avodas Hashem, and you're into it. You're a different person. And I want to tell you something. You do all you can. You'll be. I know a younger man. He had such terrible. He had addictions. He had things that didn't make sense. All the doctors told him, "You're cooked. There's no way out of this." And you know what I told him? He said, "What should I do? I can't. I'm stuck with this." I says, "You take a paper and you write down, what can I possibly do for this? Let's try this. Learn Musa. Call people for eitzes. Make a gather from now on. Make a small gather, just for one day or for 1 hour." Says the Alta from Novandig, and the Chavis above it says the same thing. He says that if you do as much as you can, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will help you. You'll get siyata d'shmai. Just do what you can. Hashem knows the problem. Do what you can in that area. Bטחון. You want to become Baal Bטחון? Okay. Go straight to the shop, to the door. Get all the Sfarim you can and pick the one you like. Make a kviyas. Next. Call a few people. Next. Make a Kabbalah. Do what you can. Look for eitzes. Call up the whole world. If you will get siyata d'shmaya. You get nisim. I know a guy had no chavrusas. You have no chavrusa? Go make an effort. Ask around. Work. If you do things, do the best you can, the Eibush will help you. That's a very... Okay, now, I'm going to tell you now a certain topic that is a little bit... You know, I've had this a lot in dealing with the public. Sometimes I have to say no. It's not always easy. And sometimes it can kill you. If you can't say no, let's say Rabbi Miller, they once asked him, somebody asked him, I was in a Vad, they would hook up here to Lakewood. It lasted maybe twice. That was the most. Then he disappeared from us because he was a man who knew. He wasn't interested in giving a Vad, Lakewood, Bachram. In those days, Lakewood, he gave once or twice. It was over. It was great. We had a packed house. Rabbi Miller, wow. Vad Rabbi Miller. And he, what was I talking about? What? Say no. He said no to us. We wanted to. He decided it didn't fit in with his schedule. Goodbye to the whole Vad. He had a big, giant... He wasn't phased. He knew how to say, Loi mitan alam. You got to learn how to do that. Sometimes you got to be mean. Sometimes to people, sometimes to yourself. You're not doing it. You want to do it, but it's not for you. It's going to mess you up. To say no is so important, to have a little din. The difference between David and Shaul was, David was soft. How many people, their softiness will kill him. They can't be cold. Oh, mothers. I don't even dare trying. I can't do it. Fathers to tell them. Sometimes you have a kid who's not doing what he's supposed to be doing. I witnessed. I was once collecting money, and I knocked on the door, and the woman came to the door. A more modern type of place, and well, from people. And the woman came to the door. As she came, she told me, she was like a crazy bundle of nerves. She told me exactly what's going on in her life. She had a child who wasn't well, and she was a good-hearted mommy who gave all her neshama for her child. She said, thanks to her aggravation, she has, I don't want to say the name of the disease, and I don't want to say the most horrific place where she had it. I checked up with the doctor, said, Hashem Yirachem. But I just heard this much, that the woman told me clearly, thanks to that child, she is dying of Yanamaisis because of her love for her child, and she couldn't do enough. So I'm not getting involved in her life, but it's how many people, their lives are ruined because they're Noshim Rachmaniyos Bishlu Yaldeim, says the Kotzke. They cook up their kids, they mess them up. They can mess up the kid also by being so nice with them. I was once involved in disciplining, whatever. There was a family that couldn't discipline a kid. So they called the policeman. Called the police. I came in and I did what I had to do. And so 2 minutes later, the mother takes the kid that I don't want to say what I did to him. They're going to arrest me soon. I'm joking. He wasn't that bad, but I took my bat along. I'm joking. And I got to work. The kid was, don't ask what this kid was doing. I don't get excited. So if you know what the kid was doing, Hashem Yirachem. The kid was dangerous, Hashem Yirachem. He needed desperate. They called me again. Okay, so I came down, did the job. Right after I did the job, the mother goes over to the kid. No, blah, blah, blah. And she starts kissing him and hugging him. Warm, loving, caring mother. So what are we going to do with such a kid? Sometimes you have to do that, but you have to have seichel. You can't, sometimes you got to be tough. You're not tough. Sometimes you got to be tough in yourself. So you don't you don't get everything you want. So it's going to kill you. So you don't have the best, your spouse, your kid. So he's not the biggest tzaddik. So I overheard Rav Galinsky speaking about his kids. One of them it wasn't so what we want. And he made a joke out of it. Yeah, a little not so. Yeah. And he laughed. He didn't care. Of course he cared. He probably davened. It's not. So laugh at it. Don't kill yourself. Because I got a steigen. I'm not steigen. You got to be a little cult. I've told people to forget about ladies. Very hard to say that to ladies. That's why I don't know if I'm capable of working with ladies when it comes to these things. For sure not. You can't tell a lady be cold. You can't tell it to a man. Be cold to my child? Or to my charusa? You have a charusa that's destroying you, and you got to get out of there, or else you're getting messed up. I can't, because he never is soft. You don't know how to. You can't say no. Some people can't say no. Some people say no too much. Easy with that. Some people are trigger happy. They're always, hey, patch him, boom, boom. You got to let them have it. They got different issues. They got to learn Rachmanis. The Breslov say the opposite of kas is Rachmanis. Person's overflowing with Rachmanis doesn't get angry so fast. When he looks at his wife, he's not always getting defensive. She did this to me, that to me. He's oozing with Rachmanis. This is my wife. What I owe her. Where would I be? I told this to young man recently. He doesn't like his wife. You know what you would look like without that lady? You'd be Mr. Nobody. Say thank you. What's the matter with you? My wife. And same thing with the lady. You'd be out in the street without your husband. You're not thankful. Yeah, but he treats me this. He treats me that. So people aren't. You have to be happy that you are married. Being married is every day. Thank you that I'm married. But she's not my type. She is my type. She's a good type, a bad type. But she does this. What the What are you getting complicated for? Say, thank you, you're married. Or, some people like the other nusach. A lot of people like the other nusach even better. Baruch Hashem, I'm not married. Baruch Hashem, I'm single. And I don't have these responsibilities, this crazy nag. So, anyway, now I'm going to tell you a little bit about din. You have to have a little din in your life. I'm going to tell you half a dicker stories. The Alter from Slobodka was known for din like nobody. He was the warmest, most loving creature ever created. You can't describe his oozing goodness. There was nothing like him. The Alter from Novandig was the same way, in a different way. They're both skutzkeit alein. They've been described, oozing with goodness. It could be the Alter from Slobodka was packaged a little bit differently, or whatever. But his goodness, forget about it. He was tough sometimes. I can tell you stories with him. He had a Talmud who was coming to learn by him, Rabbi David Leibowitz, who started Chafetz Chaim. This is the story. How true it is, it's probably true. But if I got the right gears, I don't know. But this is the way the story goes. He was a nephew of Chafetz Chaim, and he came to learn in Slobodka. And you know the Alter loved a brilliant nephew of Chafetz Chaim, and he's brilliant, and he's on fire. Ooh. The Alter takes him under his wing. These are my boys. I mean, Rav Hutner, Rav Ruderman, Rav Baron Kotler, Rav Yaakov. I mean, these are his chevra. He was looking for them. He was fighting the Haskalah. He needed big guns to attack. He needed future Rosh Hashivas, future Gedolei Yisrael. He was looking for people like this, high and low. When he found one, he ate him up alive. He didn't know what to do for him. So now, and David Leibowitz knew that. The young star, the Alter's going to give me treatment. He comes to Slobodka. It was Purim. The Alter's sitting there, flanked by all his Talmidim around him, eating and singing. And suddenly he comes in. Now the Alter was very smart. Oh, he had a spy system. Both Alters had spy systems. You know that? They pumped out spies. The Alter from Novandig knew who's coming at the train station, and he knew how to get him and capture him. He got one of his greatest Talmidim, the Shersheva, they named him like that. The Talmidim, they knew he was arriving in the next train. They knew his whereabouts, and they kidnapped him. Two Novandig is staying there. As soon as he comes, Shalom Aleichem, how are you? Yes, what are you? Oh, you're coming? Oh, nice. Yes, I would like to study Russian. He was a little bit not so yeshivish, So Russian. Oh, well, Novandig, we'll teach you Russian. He came to the Alter for Novandig, and the Alter told him, he said they brought him in. They knew these chevra were, the Novandigs were tough, charismatic. Ooh, they were chevremans, like they say. They brought him into the Alter. The Alter was very warm. Forget how warm he was. And he says, what? We'll teach you Russian. But 1 month. We'll give you free room and board. Stay in the yeshiva. I want you to learn Musaf for 1 month. That's all. No problem. They knew who they were dealing with. He learned Musaf for 1 month. It was over for the rest of his life. He became Rabbi Yitzchak Chonin Shershev, they called him. Goldstein, his name was. He was a Chaim Shmulevitz's brother-in-law. Yeah, Goyin and a tzaddik. He was a winner. They kidnapped him. They caught him. They did a lot of stuff, these secret activities. They had their own KGB. So now, comes to Slobodka, Rabbi Leibowitz, and it's Purim. And the Alter's sitting there, and suddenly he says, aha! He stops everything he's doing. He points to him, and he's standing with him looking. He wants to see the Alter. You over there. We don't really need you in this place, in front of everybody. We don't really need you. You can go home. It's fine. We're doing fine. I have my Elam here. Exactly what he did, I don't know, but he rejected him. And he did it for Rabim. That's the way the story goes. And he turned colors. What's this all about? And the next thing he knew, he turned around, he packed his bag, getting out of this place. This is my Baruch Haba from the world famous Alta Slobodka. That's the tree, but he hates me. This man doesn't live. Forget it, I'm not coming to this place. Oh, you gotta be sugar. I know what's good for me. He's on the way out. And he starts stamping down the hallway. He gets a tap by Bacha. Yes? This neatly looking, cool looking Slobodka Bacha looks at him, clean shaven, looks at him, and Shulit, the Alta wants you. What? He wants me? He wants you. Stay here. So why did he do it? Don't ask questions. I'm telling you, I know. Stay here. Maybe two guys had to do that. We know the score. Stay here. We're going to help you out. Unpack. We'll get you a place to stay. We'll get you chavrusas. We'll make you comfortable. All right. The guy was super nice to him. He stayed. And then he's walking the hallway a few weeks later, and suddenly he bumps into the Alta again. He sees the Alta. And the Alta sees him. You're still here? You're still here? You didn't leave? Imagine. And he did this every time he saw him. And every time he was about to run away, and the guy's coming, no, stay, he wants you. Back and forth for a year. The end of the year, suddenly one day, the Alta gave him his treatment. He suddenly calls him into his Chadri Chadorim, and he embraces him, and he loves him. He's Makar of him. They say he once gave a shmooze, a vad, and David Leibowitz was missing. He stopped the whole vad. He made a vad on, but you Pake David. David is missing. The whole thing about to give him covet. You loved him. Why did he do that for? They say because there was Gaiva. He had to get rid of the Gaiva. That's what he did. I'm just going to give you a sample of the way they used to. They say whoever tried to imitate the Alta was not Matzliach. Because you got to be a Hamadrega. I don't recommend people doing these type of things. But sometimes you really have to. I had such a sentence recently where I had to be cool and it paid off. I couldn't deal with somebody, whatever reason, but it wasn't nice to help me. So the day I said no and it broke my heart, the guy's relative popped up who was just even better to deal with than him directly. That day, I never saw him in my life. I just bumped into him by accident. And now, Baruch Hashem, it's a different world. So you get Ashkach Dev. I want to mention that I was called from Chashva Yid in New York, who is giving out. He's spreading my Bטחון weeklies in Lashon Kodesh, and he wants, if you want to help him out, he's giving his number, 917-635-3818. Again, 917-635-3818. He's giving out a Lashon Kodesh Bטחון weekly. If anybody wants to help him, Rabbi Osh, his name is, I'll be happy to have you join him. Give him a call. He'll tell you. I would say for people, just give him a call. I think it's mainly for people who live in Borough Park, Flatbush area. Once you spread it out, we get into Eretz Yisrael. I don't know. Give him a call. He's a tired mensch. Hey, if you should help. Want to hear my latest Meifest? I told you the latest Meifest about the guy that had corona and he had to marry a daughter. I told you the story. You heard it, right? The guy was in the hospital. He had to marry a daughter.
This was the latest Meifest we giving about corona.
What?
We just heard the latest Meifest we giving about.
What do you mean?
Because somebody called you about corona.
Call me about corona.
We giving about it.
Oh, that's right. They're calling me. I told them call me back later. Yeah, we'll have more Meifest coming. Oh, he's there. We'll get him soon. We'll take care of him. Hey, What was the story of the